What's up, world? It's Willy. What if here, back and never leaving again. Here is part 6 of What If Deku and Friends Were Sent into Konosuba. I'm so excited to get out as many videos as possible for you all, and to try some new things for the channel. I am reading every single comment, old and new, to make sure I haven't missed anyone's ideas or well wishes. Thank you all so much for sticking around. Without further ado, here is the next part. Chapter 23, Divinity Ain't What It Used to Be. Shota Aizawa had a problem. Well, to be more accurate, he had 20 problems, but one of his more mundane ones had just walked into the meeting room. Wow. What a crazy day! Fukukado laughed as she entered the room. Did your class drive you half as nuts as mine did? I'd like to promise I have yours beat, Aizawa said dryly. But I'll wait for Nezu to get here as I don't feel like repeating myself. Come on. You never minded gossiping about your students before during our little get-togethers. Fukukado teased. No, I presented challenges I was facing in meeting my students' needs. You just read that as juicy gossip details, Aizawa retorted. Fukukado sighed, slumping into a chair sideways. That's because they're kids, Shota. Those little personal details are how you connect with them, help them grow as people, and not, to mention, give nods to whatever secrets they think they're carting around. But Jesus Christ, do I have some bundles of issues in my room. I do recall Mineta had reports of sexual misconduct in his file. Did he cause you any serious issues? Aizawa growled. He really tried not to get angry, but sexual harassment was never something he tolerated in any circumstance. That the attention could be directed to his close friend just made it worse, because she was a valued and respected colleague. Or something like that. You know, it was actually the darndest thing. He went up to several of the girls and apologized to them before class. If I didn't have access to their files, I also would have sworn half these kids had already been together for months beforehand. Fukukado said, lowering her voice. And the other half. Shota, this is going to sound crazy, but they've definitely got some foreign or off-the-record connections or something. They don't act Japanese at all, and seemed surprised by cultural norms even though they tried to hide it. Also, it seemed like Mineta and Subaru have serious PTSD issues if how they reacted to my surprising them is any indication. It's like those kids just got plucked out of a war zone or something, and we're working off outdated information. Aizawa's eyes twitched. You don't say. You're hiding something, Fukukado immediately pointed, frowning. Ugh, would it kill you to just talk to me for once? Come on, this is serious shit here. Tell you what, I'll even sweeten the deal. We go for a date after work, get a couple of drinks, and no. Ha! Your face. Ha! Seriously, though, if this is anywhere near as serious as I think it will be, we are going to need a drink or something. Fukukado half snickered even as she centered herself a little as Khan entered. He paused, eyeing the Joker for a moment, then the two of them together. Then the Blood King drew out a flask and tossed it to her. I don't normally condone drinking on the job, but shit, after today we all need it. Popping the cork, Fukukado sniffed, then raised an eyebrow. You brought vodka to school? Wow, didn't think you UA teachers would be the type. Then she took a long swallow, letting out a satisfied sigh and smacking her lips. God, that hits the spot. Pass it here, Aizawa said, holding his hand out. Khan did a double take. Wait, seriously? I thought you'd be the first in line to try and chew me out for taking to the bottle. Most things are fine in moderation, and some situations call for some kind of relief, Aizawa said, taking a long swig, swallowing, then taking another quicker sip. I have a feeling we're all dealing with fallouts of one kind or another. In mine, it just happens to also be literal. Oh, I don't know. Do you have Ayn Rand's biggest fanboy and his 2 sex slaves in your class? Khan grumbled, swiping back the flask before it was drained. Ha, you're kidding me. Fukukado laughed. Khan just took a long drink from his flask, his eye eyes staring ahead at a blank section of the wall as he settled back in his chair. Oh, crap, you're not. Is, it consenting? Fuck, I need more detail than that. All right, you have got to spill next, Aizawa. I need the crazy front and center before I forget. What's the issue in your group? I know you've got that one kid who breaks his bones whenever he uses his quirk. Surprised I didn't hear anything about you expelling him already. Shaking his head, Aizawa tried to clear his head from the alcohol. Frankly, Midoriya might be one of the more well-adjusted ones in my class, and possibly married. Oh, good. It wasn't just me with the oversexed weirdos. Seriously, Tanuki, not even subtle with a name like that. You just know they're gonna be a horny bastard. I know these are teens, but this is ridiculous, Khan grumbled. I swear, it seems like half my class is draping themselves all over one another, and it's the first day. You'd think they were already together forever. Right? What the hell is up with that? They're 15 for crying out loud. I was horny when I was that age, still am, but I wasn't that bad, Fukukado complained. So, who's Midoriya think he's hitched? 2? Let me guess, it's that girl with the goggles. I saw them running off together, probably a good idea to keep an eye on them. Young Midoriya will be my responsibility, actually. Aizawa closed his eyes and barely stifled a groan. Of course. He was here. He admired the man. Looked up to him. Hell, he'd become a hero to be like him. But he had literally never taught before, nor seemed to be trying to gain any teaching ability since it had been decided he'd head a major course. What was he even doing here? At least Fukukado took her job seriously and was a competent enough teacher even if she was too touchy-feely for Aizawa's tastes. Still, Aizawa had to give All Might a chance, if for no other reason than his wealth of experience made him a valuable asset and training tool. Hello, everyone, Nezu said cheerily, hopping up into his elevated chair from All Might's shoulder as the man himself took a seat. We'll have a larger meeting later, but for the moment I wanted to talk to the three of you first. You all have let's call them unique class roster this year. Really? Khan asked, his tone dripping with sarcasm. You don't say? Aizawa told you it was a damn mistake to let in so many students with recommendations. And damn it, this time I'm agreeing with him. I'm not one to expel kids on the first day like he does, but I was this close to it. Multiple times. These kids are insane. Well, you may have a few things you're not used to dealing with, but we will have to adjust. Nezu attempted to calm. I'm sure our students' talents will one day make them valuable assets. Can you say that with certainty? Because I have a student who's seemingly half a step away from villainy already. Aizawa growled, his tone growing more hysterical by the second. I almost think I need to be committed after today. Half my class is a bunch of Chunibyo lunatics with the collective power to blow up an entire mountain, and the other half believes they've spent the last year in a fantasy realm and that they're the damn knights of the round table. And that doesn't even account for the 2 that think they're literal former deities. By the end of it, Kukuado and Khan were staring at Aizawa with open mouths as he'd been shouting and frantic by the end of it. Okay, you win. Fukukado nodded slowly, throwing up her hands. I knew I never should have come to work for UA. How you talked me into it, Aizawa, I'll never know. What? I never talked you into it, Aizawa protested. I remember telling Nezu you were a good teacher and a competent hero, even if you did. Annoy me to the bone. But I never would have tried to get you to come here. What? You practically begged me to apply. The only reason I did was because you finally said you might feel something for me. Fukukado cried in indignation. And now, you're acting like you don't even want to see me. Stop being such a damned tsundere and stick to your usual cold self instead of giving a woman hope if you're just gonna deny it happening. I did no such thing. I've never encouraged you, no matter how much I wanted to. Aizawa snapped, then blinked. Perhaps that liquor was hitting him a little harder than he thought. Or he really was going insane. Fukukado, Aizawa, focus. Tell me exactly what you remember about the hiring process this year, Nezu demanded with a quick chop of his paw, bringing their focus back. Because I distinctly remember Aizawa and Khan talking me into expending the hero program, with All Might suggesting we hire Ms. Joke as our third teacher. Wait, really? You've heard about me? Fukukado said, blushing and looking furtively at All Might. The big man rubbed the back of his head semi-sheepishly. Well, I recall that you were a bright young hero at one point. I did try to keep tabs on everyone, and we have spoken professionally once or twice, but once you retired into teaching, I lost track, to be frank. After several minutes, everyone laid out their memories, each one conflicting, some in subtle ways, others vastly so. How do we all have different memories of the hero program expanding? Khan demanded, looking baffled. Did someone use a memory-altering quirk on us? Does this have something to do with the note you sent me, Nezu? Aizawa asked, frowning. Because I'd honestly half forgotten about that after what my students told me. Midoriya, All Might groaned, resting his head in his hands. He does need to learn to be more discreet. I understand why he told Hatsume, but his entire class… Oh no. I realized something was wrong before Nezu sent the note. Like the fact that I was unable to prevent one of my students from blowing up half the baseball field. That has to be repaired and refilled now. Aizawa groused. What? You couldn't stop some kid's quirk? Fukukado asked, looking worried. I knew you'd probably gotten rusty as a teacher, but it's that bad? No, my quirk is still fully functional. My student claimed to be using magic, and frankly, I'm starting to care less and less if she's right. Did I mention before that all my students claim to have been trapped in a fantasy world and had to defeat someone called the Lord of the Tomb and his minions? Because it seems to be gaining credence the more I consider it. Or the drunker I am. Probably both, Aizawa said. Oh. All Might looked to Nezu, who nodded. We have reason to believe that a good chunk of our students aren't from our reality at all, and that the rest spent an unknown amount of time in another world. Fukukado burst out laughing. Ha! And here I thought I was the jokester here. All Might! Wow, you and Aizawa really had me going there for a second. You're both such jokesters. Oh my god, you aren't laughing. Why aren't you laughing? You're not kidding, are you? Not even slightly, Nezu said grimly. All Might has good reasons to trust Midoriya, who came to him directly and explained that he is from either an alternate future or timeline, and afterwards spent several months in another world. He then returned to our reality, 3 months before he left. You're just going to take his word for it? Khan asked, folding his arms over his chest. I'm surprised. Have you noticed anything different about me? All Might asked quietly. Fukukado frowned, then her eyes went wide. You're in your muscular form. I thought that was super taxing for… You, why would you waste time in a meeting like that? Slowly, carefully, All Might unbuttoned his shirt, revealing his side. Or rather, the lack of something there. Aizawa sucked in a sharp breath. Your injury, it's gone. Aqua healed me completely. Not even the strongest healing quirks I had scouted or sought help from across the world could repair the entirety of the damage, All Might said as he redid his shirt. But she did, within minutes. Midoriya says she was a literal deity, and both he and Hatsume stated they've seen her raise the dead. She also… well, you all knew I was weakening. The truth was, my quirk was failing, faltering, burning out. I feared that within a year I would lose access to it completely. You know such things have happened in the past. Khan looked sick. All for one. It was him, wasn't it? Normally, he just took quirks. But if he had the chance… Yes. But we need not fear. My quirk is restored. It's not as powerful as it was in my prime, but it's stronger than it has been in years. And I no longer feel it weakening. All Might explained before hesitating. And there is another matter that should be discussed. You came here to find a replacement, didn't you? Aizawa immediately guessed. I had my suspicions, especially when you once said your quirk was called One for All. Can you do something with it, similar to what All for One could? Yeah, okay. Gift that keeps on giving or some shit, probably. Whatever. But did you just say we had God walking through our halls? And I also need you to clarify if we're talking uppercase G God or lowercase g God, because I really feel like that's important, Fukukado interrupted. If she's a deity, I'm becoming an atheist, Aizawa stated flatly. Khan eyed him, past his sadly empty flask. You were already an atheist. Yes, but now I will be forever devoted to the idea that there is a God, or multiple. They flat out don't deserve our worship, because that girl wasted no time in proving herself dumber than a bag of bricks. Aizawa snapped, stabbing a finger. At the table, Midoriya indicated she was a healing goddess with a domain in the arts as well as water, Nezu said. And as far as I can tell, there are 2 deities in your class. As for the others, well, we have to find out. If Naofumi's a god, I am finding every copy of Atlas Shrugged and the Fountainhead I can find and burning them with extreme prejudice. Khan swore. I remember being a jackass when I was a teen, but that boy has more in common with a rabid dog. We know the least regarding the status of the students in your class so far, Nezu admitted. So far as I'm aware, I only have ready information on those in Aizawa's class, namely Sato Kazuma, Aquamizu, Megumin Bakuretsu, and La Latina for Dustiness, aka Darkness. More pressing is that there is a very real chance that all our students really did clash with this Lord of the Tomb, especially given the evidence at hand, All Might stated gravely. From what Midoriya told us, there is, or was, an evil overlord who has been systematically invading other universes and subjugating them, alongside slaughtering their human populations according to Belzerg, my misplaced royalty, Aizawa added, rubbing his forehead. I was really hoping that was a delusion on their part for that reason alone. Perhaps it is, but exaggeration. Or no, right now, we have very real evidence that there is a serious existential threat out there, and that our world may very well be next on his list, or targeted in the future. Nezu nodded grimly. We'll be talking to the rest of our staff and bringing them up to speed with what we know, alerting higher branches in the Hero Commission as needed to ensure signs are watched worldwide. As for us, we'll be interviewing each of the students in the first-year hero course. I'll be going to my contacts in the government, as well as a few pro-heroes I know I can trust. I've already contacted Sir Night-Eye. He'll be coming in to help do readings on the students to verify these claims, All Might said, as well as give us an idea of what sort of threats we, or they, can expect. So what about the rest of us? Fukukado asked. Look, I was a pro for a while and I've been teaching for nearly as long, but this is way the hell above my pay grade. This is so absurd I can't even think of a joke without getting into surrealism territory. How the heck are we supposed to teach gods and aliens? The same way we do every other kid, I guess. Even a bit easier if their standards are as low as I can guess. Aizawa sighed. Once I calmed them down, they did seem to all want to learn how to be heroes, or at least better fighters. The real trick will be pounding the meaning of heroism into them, I think. For now, we're going to play this close to our chests. I don't want the media getting a hold of this and it turning into a circus, Nezu agreed. For all their supposed experience, they do seem to still, by and large, be young adults or teens who are in desperate need of molding. I trust you 3 are still up to the task? I'll beat the objectivist bullshit out of them if I have to, Kan swore. A real hero isn't a self-interested asshole. Well, if these kids have been through as much shit as I think they have, someone needs to at least try and teach them how to smile again. Count me in, too. Fukukado nodded, giving Nezu a thumbs up. Aizawa shrugged. I haven't run screaming for the hills just yet. If having Tagata, Hado, and Amajiki in my class couldn't break me, neither will these kids. What is it with the blue-haired bimbos? Thank you all. I know this is going to push us all to our limits as educators, so I'm counting on you to all go beyond. Plus ultra, Fukukado said, her tone questioning. Plus ultra, Kan and Aizawa echoed, both sounding tired. I'll let you all know of any further developments immediately, All Might said, standing. I'll need to go speak with Sir Night Eyes straight away. Hopefully he can offer some guidance. With that, the meeting broke up, with Kan heading home to his family and Aizawa and Fukukado alone. Fukukado grinned at Aizawa. Hey, I know what we should do. We should go on a date. A few more drinks would make this whole thing make more sense, don't you think? Aizawa considered that. When you put it like that? Fine. At least then you'll also stop bothering me. Yeah, see you tomorrow. You wait. Did you just say yes? Fukukado began to wave goodbye before halting in her tracks. I just found out that God's real and she's an idiot. I think getting plastered is about the right response, Aizawa stated. Fukukado considered that, then shrugged. I'll take what I can get. So, where are the good bars around here? Do you seriously think I know much about the local nightlife? Aizawa asked. You pick one. I don't care. Just like the good old days, back when we were lovers, patrolling the city together. We were never lovers. Oh, you kidder, I know. You've got a burning flame of passion in your heart. Come on, let's find a karaoke place. It'll be fun. I would literally rather die. After today, don't tempt me. Hey, come on. I think there's a dive bar not too far away. Smile, Aizawa. How many people get to say they're God's teacher? Tell you what, I'll trade you classes, then you can deal with them. Chapter 24. Dine in, taken out. Right, I'm officially calling the first meeting of the Order of Belzerg to order, Kazuma declared, rapping his spoon on his glass. They were all sitting around a table at a dinner not far from UA, their first day of school having ended. Wait, why are we here? Tokoyami asked, frowning. I'm not from Belzerg. Neither is Uraraka. Yeah, what exactly is this about, Kazuma? Uraraka agreed. And shouldn't all those kids from your world be here too? Eris told me she was too busy to participate in my shenanigans. Aqua grumbled as she grabbed a handful of fries to shove into her mouth. Hey, careful with those. Tokoyami. And I are paying for them! Uraraka snapped, trying to reach over to make Aqua put some back. Relax, let them eat. I have sufficient funds, Tokoyami said, taking out his wallet and withdrawing more of the strange yen bills on them. Why did they have a picture of their teacher All Might on the 1,000 yen bill? That was pretty weird in Kazuma's opinion. Yes, we need to keep up our strength. And Union said she was going on a date with Sero, Megaman said, grabbing a handful of fries herself and biting into them one at a time. But then why isn't Iris here? Tokoyami asked. Isn't she the queen or something? Yes, I was wondering why you did not invite her, or Sir Bakugo Kazuma, Darkness said. She wasn't indulging in the greasy fries, instead having got a bowl of pork cutlets and rice, claiming she needed the protein. Still, I am impressed you are taking such an active interest in reclaiming Belzerg. What? Kazuma asked. He shook his head. No, I don't care about that. This is about breaking Iris up with that asshole. Right, I'm leaving, Uraraka said, and stood up. I am so not indulging your juvenile fantasies, Kazuma. I'll make you a free lunch every day for the rest of the trimester, Kazuma offered. Uraraka zipped back into her seat, a wide grin on her face. Well, I never liked Bakugo anyway, and Iris seems really sweet. Of course we have to break them up, they're terrible for one another. You barely know either of them, Tokoyami said, an amused expression on his face. Bakugo seems to have changed. Much during his time in Belzerg. Kazuma! This is scandalous, Darkness hissed. Iris is our queen. It is our duty to support her. If she has chosen Sir Bakugo as her first prince of the sword, then we should do all we can to aid both of them. Yeah, and have you met the asshole? Do you really see him as being good for Iris? I thought the Dustiness family was supposed to be the crown's most loyal vassal. Are you really going to let Iris shack up with Bakugo? Just imagine what he'd do to our sweet, tender queen. Just the thought of my little sister with him makes my blood boil. Kazuma snarled. Darkness hesitated. I do not know. She seems fond of him, and from her tale, he was her strongest supporter. Yeah, because he thinks he's going to tap that ass. Well, I, for one, am not going to stand for it. My little sister deserves better, Kazuma declared, stabbing the table. With his index finger. Aren't you from Japan? Tokoyami asked. How exactly is the queen of a foreign nation from another world your little sister? Kazuma folded his arms over his chest. She's adopted. Kazuma used to think he was going to become a harem anime protagonist, Megumin confided. He thought, I was the tsundere, Darkness was the Wani-chan, Aqua was the bimbo, and Iris was the Imoto character. What? I thought no such thing! Kazuma protested, his face going scarlet. Uraraka, however, burst out laughing. Oh, of course he did. Oh my god, no wonder the Baroness tried to offer you 2 maids. Ha ha, you're such a perverted dork, Kazuma. Hey, why was I the bimbo? Aqua demanded, a bit of fry dangling from her chin. Obviously, I should be the super talented, angelically beautiful girl. Sorry, I meant the Bakakami, Megumin said, keeping her face perfectly straight. That's better, Aqua agreed, grabbing her soda and slurping it down. She let out a loud belch. Man, this stuff is great. Tokoyami, give me more money for fries and a milkshake. Fine, but you're going to have to get your own next time, Tokoyami said, handing Aqua a few bills. She hurried off to stand in line, and the table burst out in sniggers once she had left. I guess she really is the idiot goddess, Kazuma chuckled. Then he turned serious. We really do need to break Iris and Bakugo up, though. I've seen his type before, and Midoriya told me about him. He's a bully, a braggart, and he's got a trigger temper. That is not the sort of man for my little sister. She deserves better. Who did you have in mind? Megumin demanded, her eyes narrowing at Kazuma. Well, not me, obviously. I don't know. We'll figure something out. Someone strong and nice and deserving of my little sister. Just, not Mr. Angry Eyes. Kazuma, are you certain? Meddling in royal affairs is a dangerous game, Darkness said, sounding and looking concerned. Belzerg was not well known for its court intrigue. We were too often under assault from one or another Devil King, for they always seemed drawn to our nation. But even among the nobles of Belzerg, playing politics was a hazardous affair. Right, so you know all this noble stuff. How do we break them up? Kazuma demanded. Darkness considered that. Well, a formal challenge could be issued to Bakugo for the right to be Iris's shield. We cannot interfere in her selection of the first prince of the sword directly, for it is the queen's right to choose her consort. Formal challenge? To a fight? Kazuma asked, his heart sinking. He was a lot of things, and Bakugo was a few choice words, but one thing Kazuma knew was that there was no way in hell that he could take Bakugo in a fair fight. Sure, he could probably figure out how to beat him if he set things up right, but in a duel? Not a chance. Well, then clearly I should challenge him to a battle of explosions, Megumin declared. I have seen his, and they are weak and inferior. I am the one worthy of the title of greatest of explosion mages. That would... Megumin, you are not well suited to being a shield, do you not agree? Darkness asked. When Megumin nodded, Darkness took a deep breath. This is something I should have done regardless. It is traditional for the shield to be tested by several of the court nobles, including the Dustiness family. I shall issue a formal challenge on the morrow, Come, Tokoyami, we must train. Now? Tokoyami asked, surprised. Where exactly can we do that, Darkness? I can't use Dark Shadow in public and the school is closed. That got Kazuma's attention. What do you mean you can't use Dark Shadow in public? He means that Dark Shadow began, but Tokoyami shone a flashlight on the manifestation, which whined and went back to hiding under the table quietly. Using quirks in public is illegal, unless you're a pro-hero. Don't you guys, oh man, you don't know that, do you? Uraraka asked. You mean we can't use magic in public? Kazuma asked. Why not? It was never an issue before. Tokoyami shrugged. Quirks can be dangerous. Dark Shadow is not the only hazardous one by any means. From gigantification quirks, which can cause serious property damage, to creating panic when someone uses a flashy one. I have a little leeway. However, here. Tokoyami withdrew something from his wallet and passed it to Kazuma. He and Megumin studied the card. Fumikaze Tokoyami, quirk, Dark Shadow. Semi-sentient manifestation of his shadow. Can speak and act independently, unstable in darkness, more prone to erratic behavior. If Dark Shadow misbehaves, I may get off with only a warning, Tokoyami said, taking the card back. However, if I am not cautious, I could be issued a citation or even arrested. It hasn't happened in some years, but it is why I tend to stay indoors after sundown. But then how shall we train? Darkness asked, looking mortified. How shall we make love? Yes, about that. Here, I still live with my parents, Tokoyami said, looking down. I am still a youth, by my world's reckoning. Yeah, where are you guys staying? Uraraka asked, sounding worried. I mean, maybe I can find a way for some of you to stay with. Me and Kazuma could stay with Tokoyami, but hey, don't worry about it. We woke up in an apartment not too far from here, Kazuma said with a dismissive wave of his hand. Smitty said it's ours and stuff. We can live off the rations I create for a while, so I'm not worried about that. Also, we have top-of-the-line gaming PCs, Megumin added. Smith said they were our reward for a job well done. Yeah, which is why we should have just stayed home, Kazuma complained. Well, anyway, hopefully that challenge thing can sort out Bakugo. I'll talk to Iris and… There was a commotion behind them, and Kazuma heard a familiar wail. He groaned and turned to see Aqua being accosted by a tough-looking man in odd clothing, an open vest and what looked like metal armbands and a headband with caution symbols on it. Aqua was crying, and the man had her arms pinned to her side with one massive hand, her milkshake and fries spilled on the ground. Behind Aqua, a little girl and boy were clinging to one another, looking frightened. Kazuma didn't think when he saw Aqua hurt and in trouble, he just reacted. He extended his hand towards the man and shouted, "Bind!" Coils of thick rope shot out of Kazuma's hand, wrapping themselves tightly around the man and forcing him to let Aqua go. She stumbled away, and people started to scream and shout in panic. "Kazuma!" Uraraka gasped. "Don't! That's… What the hell are you doing?" the man bellowed, his muscles flexing. He ripped free of the ropes with a snarl and charged Kazuma, one hand raised in anger. He didn't get far. Darkness threw the table at the man's head, which he batted aside, only for her to slam her fists into him. He grunted in pain, stumbling back. "Damn it! What are you even doing?" "You shall not assault my friends!" Darkness snapped, holding her hand to the side and summoning her sword. "Back off, you brute!" "Oh, fuck this. Woods, little help here!" the burly brute shouted. Vines and tendrils suddenly sprang up out of the hot ground, wrapping Darkness in them tightly. A man who appeared to be made out of bark and wood stepped into the cafe, which was rapidly being emptied. "I have her and the other one, Death Arms." Kazuma saw Aqua now bound up in vines as well, struggling helplessly to free herself. "On me!" Kazuma roared, pulling Chunchumaru from the void and leaping towards darkness, sword raised. "Oh no!" Uraraka groaned, but she fell in with Kazuma regardless. "Fight!" Dark Shadow screamed, and Tokoyami bellowed in rage, rushing to attack the burly man at Kazuma's side. "They're too close, I can't use explosion," Megumin called, stepping back from the action. "What the hell is wrong with you kids?" Death Arms snarled and aimed a punch for Kazuma's chest. He dodged to the side, allowing Uraraka to slap the brawler's wrist. "Please don't blow him up," Uraraka told Kazuma, then shoved Death Arms towards the ceiling as he flailed and tried to get his balance. "I'm not an idiot. We'd level the whole building if we did that," Kazuma snapped at her. At the same time, Dark Shadow shredded darkness bindings and she charged at the startled woods. "I already have a boyfriend! You all need to calm down. Lacquered Chains Prison." Vines and roots flooded the diner, spreading out and attempting to wrap all of them up in their embrace. "Kindle!" Kazuma cried, burning the tendrils racing for Megumin and slicing those that came after him with his sword. Darkness hacked away, and Bull rushed woods, her shoulder throwing him through a window and out into the street. "Kazuma, we have to stop," Uraraka shouted. "They're not villains, they're—" She was cut off when a stream of water slammed into her, driving her to the ground. Kazuma turned to see yet another oddball dressed like a firefighter, but with hoses where arms should have been. "Halt! You are under arrest! You kids are—" The water from the hoses suddenly went back on itself, driving the firefighter into a wall. Aqua stood up, trembling with anger, Dark Shadow having freed her as well. "How dare you use my element against my friends?" Aqua snarled, her hands outstretched. "I am the goddess of water." The firefighter struggled at first, but suddenly slumped over as his own water pummeled him. "Well, that was easy," Kazuma said, looking over at Death Arms, who was groaning and floating in midair after having rebounded into several surfaces. He heard rapidly approaching sirens and smiled to himself. "And now the cops are here. Perfect." "Oh no," Uraraka groaned again, getting shakily to her feet. "My parents are going to kill me." "Why?" Kazuma asked, waving as the first cop car pulled up. "We totally stomped those guys. We'll just let them know that they were picking on Aqua." "And, Kazuma, those three are pro-heroes," Uraraka told him. "You might want to put your sword away and put your hands over your head." "Pro-heroes?" Kazuma asked, a creeping sense of dread overcoming him. He looked at Aqua. "What did you do?" "Nothing. This boy was sad, so I showed him one of my party tricks, nature's beauty. Then that jerk grabbed me and started yelling, but you helped." "Thanks, by the way. I mean, I totally could have handled him, but—" "Freeze! Put your hands above your head, use your quirks again, and we open fire!" A bullhorn blared from one of the cop cars. "Let me blow him up," Megumin said, her fingers twitching. "I want to blow him up. I only got in 2 explosions today." "It would be best if you didn't slaughter the police," Tokoyami said, getting down on his knees and putting his hands on his head. "I might have overreacted. Seeing my friends in danger, perhaps we spent too much time in that other world." "Yeah," Uraraka agreed. "I probably should have known better, but, well, old habits die hard, I guess." "Oh shit," Kazuma groaned, as the officers advanced on him. He put his hands up. Would you all believe this was just a simple misunderstanding?"
Chapter 25. Interlude. Interview with a vampire. *. Once, centuries ago, Alucard had been close to being at peace. He had started to believe that there was, perhaps, something worthy in the world. That he had been wrong about God, and that it had been his own pride and weakness that had led to his people's destruction by his enemies, the Turks. and that the only one responsible for his own fate had, in the end, been himself. It had taken defeat by Abraham Van Helsing, and of forced servitude under the Helsing organization for more than a century. But Alucard had started to change his ways, to want more than destruction and death. He'd even found humans he could respect, and who might be worthy of killing. Him, at long last. He would make his peace, pass on his mantle to Saros, and die knowing that the Helsing organization would continue to protect the world under the capable hands of Integra, one of the only humans he'd ever respected. God, indeed, kept an eye on Alucard, and even if he hadn't earned redemption, at least he had made peace with his maker, and then all of that had been proven to be a filthy, stinking lie. It was all God's fault. All of it. Or, rather, the gods. It had happened when Alucard had at last faced down Alexander Anderson, a human he considered truly worthy of defeating him. Unfortunately, Anderson had fallen short of Abraham Van Helsing himself. Not because he couldn't have defeated Alucard, but because he had been willing to become a monster himself to do it. They had stood there, both nearly defeated and dead. Alucard had felt something approaching joy as his familiars were slain, but Anderson had been near death as well. All he had to do was push past his pain, his fear, and become the pure humanity worthy of slaying Dracula, the Prince of the Night. Well done, Alucard had laughed as he had stood alone, his powers waning at last with Anderson bloody but unbowed before him. Well done, son of Iscariot. You stand before me now as a man, as I should expect of the great Alexander Anderson. Yes, Anderson spat, but you are not the only one with a weapon of mass murder. And he had pulled out Helena's nail, the relic of the true cross. One of the few things that had the ability to end Alucard once and for all. His heart had sung with joy, which had turned to revulsion when, instead of using the weapon against Alucard, Anderson had used it on himself. He had pierced his own heart with that nail, forsaking his humanity. Alucard had roared with rage and heartbreak to see this man, this pinnacle of humanity, turn himself into a monster. Why? Why do this? Alucard had killed Anderson, and gone on a short time later to face the rest of the horrors in this world. But his heart had seethed with anger. Why would God allow this? Anderson had been a true believer, a true zealot. He'd become a monster for God, not to spite him as Alucard had. What sort God demanded that? And a short time later, when Alucard had devoured Schrödinger and ended Millennium, he had received his answer. There you are, a voice had said as Alucard's senses returned. About time. Finally, someone capable of helping me shows up. Alucard blinked to find himself looking up at the face of a white, bearded, grandfatherly man that glowed with a holy power. His eyes widened in shock. Dead. He was actually dead. That miserable little monster had ended him. Alucard, the son of the dragon, the first and true vampire. Well, it seems your little story has finally wrapped up, God said. Now get up. You have work to do. Work, Alucard had demanded, slowly rising to his feet. Oh yes, God said, nodding and pulling out a scroll from nowhere to study. That damnable Vash the Stampede has put me in charge of the horror division, but there are hardly any gods to help run things at all. You're one of the few heroes. Have You finally even made your peace with me back there, I believed. I thought that bit with you fighting Anderson was rather poetic, really. The monster of God fighting the monster of the devil. Normally I would have preferred my champion win, but Anderson didn't have the power I need. What are you talking about? You made Anderson use the nail on himself. Why, he could have slain me. Anderson could have stopped Millennium and me as a man, Alucard demanded angrily. He and Antekara and Saris could have forged a new world. One where humanity rose above the monsters. Perhaps, but humanity bores me. They're nothing but a bunch of ungrateful parasites. Now come. It's time we finished the onboarding and made you into a proper deity. The others have been slacking off, God told Alucard, turning away and walking off through the endless white landscape, dotted with marble pillars and shrouded in ethereal haze. Snarling Alucard and reaching for his guns. He would kill God and wait others. Alucard hurried forward, controlling his rage. For now, who are you? Are you really the being that calls itself God? I am God, the God of horror, the white-bearded man agreed absently. And you are now my newest lieutenant, Alucard. Right, or do you prefer Vlad Tepes? We'll need to get that right on the paperwork. Paperwork. You are going to make me one of God's own lieutenants with paperwork. Don't you know that I kill the men of God and spread fear and panic wherever I go? Alucard demanded, fighting back anger and revulsion. Yes, that's what makes you such an excellent choice for a deity of horror, the white-bearded thing calling. Itself, God replied, still not fully paying attention to here. Cubby will finish your onboarding and explain things. I'm going to deal with that damnable atheist once and for all. Turning him into a little girl didn't sort out that salaryman well. Let's see how they like me making someone else my champion. Alucard jerked as God simply vanished. He was there one moment, then another, gone. And Alucard was standing in the white mist, with a small creature with red eyes and long, strange ears. It was about the size of a cat, but was clearly some sort of monster. Hello. The thing, QB Alucard supposed, spoke directly into his mind using some sort of telepathy. Welcome to the divine division of horror. Through your actions, you have descended, achieving apotheosis. You are now a god of horror. Congratulations, god of horror, Alucard said flatly. You're telling me I'm God now. That was the most vile, horrible thing he could think of. His life of utter sin and destruction, and he was rewarded by becoming God. He might have accepted that he'd been able to redeem, be himself, and enter the afterlife as a human, as a C9 as that would have been. He'd rather just return to Earth and fight alongside Cerus and Integra again. Maybe then he could find a human worthy of killing him, or perhaps simply exists as humanity's champion, a monster fighting monsters. No, not God. You are a god. The boss you just spoke with is the god of horror. We're just his subordinates, or you will be, once you make a contract with me. And if I do not desire to be a deity, Alucard growled. Looming over the small creature, it smiled up at him. But its unblinking red eyes were empty and full of nothing but the endless void. Then I eat your soul, and we destroy your world and start over again. We really do need more gods, and you're a reasonably suitable candidate. But if you refuse, will just end you and your world as a failed experiment. The thought of a simple cessation of existence galled Alucard, especially one at the hands of this vile creature, and to have his world erased for his own sins. That was even worse. You'd erase all of reality, just like that. No, just yours. A world like that, one designed to produce a proper god capable of helping run the division, takes a lot of energy. Letting it go to waste would be a shameful increase in entropy, but sometimes it can't be avoided. I see. And why do you wish to make me into a god? Alucard asked, considering his options. That's easy. To spread horror. You enjoy that, don't you? You've made a lot of horror happen while you were in your world. It was quite yummy. You see, us gods of horror need terrible things to feed on, to live. That's why I make magical girls in my world. Through their contracts and by becoming witch, they experience unimaginable horror. A pure, pristine form of energy that our division runs on. Our boss needs that to get power, and it's from him that we get our own abilities. Without horror, our division would cease to exist. Rage. Rage beyond anything Alucard had ever felt burned in his soul. So, God was real, and he had been wrong. It wasn't that God didn't care. God did care. Very much so it seemed. Only God didn't care about his followers in the sense that he loved them or sought to make the world a better place. Oh no. God was really just the devil, a worse one than even Alucard. And to God, his worshippers were nothing but food and chattel. But he didn't feed on devotion, praise, or even good deeds. Of course not. It all made too much sense. The reason the world was so cruel, so unjust, so utterly terrifying, was because God fed on causing pain and suffering and anguish. But Alucard would not let his anger rule him. He'd gotten past that centuries ago. The Helsing family had seen to that. So he tamped it down and forced himself to continue speaking to Kubi. After all, Alucard killed monsters, and it seemed heaven was full of them. After that, Alucard signed the contract and became a god. He was tasked with overseeing worlds and causing the maximum amount of horror and pain for their inhabitants in new and creative ways so that the horror division could grow and multiply. He spoke with a being who called himself the God of Horror many times, and confirmed his belief that he was nothing but a cruel, malevolent, and petty tyrant who sought only to bring woe to his worshippers personally. Alucard preferred to think of him being X as the so-called atheist. Did this was a poor soul that the God of Horror was currently fixated upon. Some fool that would neither bow and worship, nor give in and weep in horror and fear. It was the sort of pettiness Alucard supposed he should have expected of God. As for Alucard, he rose through the ranks quickly. He knew quite well how to cause horror and pain, and did so. He felt no pity for these poor humans. Instead, he wished for them to overcome their trial. For Alucard sought a way to end their suffering. You see, Alucard had learned horror was not the only division of heaven. There were others. Worlds that were full of love in the romance division, or those full of laughter in the comedy division, and hundreds of others. At first Alucard had been bitter and resentful his life had not been lived there, but then he realized something. Those gods were just the same as the ones in horror. They lived to cause laughter or love, not because they cared about those in their worlds, but so they could feed on it. Oh, they could have destroyed the horror division. It was actually rather small and out of the way, shunned by the other gods and gods. But they didn't, because they were perfectly content to let a few mortals suffer so their fellow gods could feed. Which meant one simple thing: they had to die, all of them. They were not gods, they were monsters. But to kill a monster, you did not send another. Alucard might be able to kill the other horror gods, but he would swiftly lose to more powerful deities in other divisions. No, Alucard didn't need a monster. He needed a man. Or, rather, a girl. That atheist, Tanya von Degeretchev, she was called now. A little girl, trapped in a horrible war. But she kept her focus. She was determined to kill God, and Alucard was. Be in a position to help her. His greatest aid was that the god of horror was lazy, extremely so. He put off more and more of his work onto Alucard, who was quickly becoming the most powerful god in horror. He even put Alucard in charge of Tanya's world to torment her more effectively, and in charge of interdepartmental communications effectively. Alucard had become the head of horror, in function if not form, which was how Alucard met perhaps the god, or rather goddess, he hated most outside of his own division, Haruhi Suzumiya. She was everything a god should not be: lackadaisical, petty, uncaring, and willing to subject those under her to endless humiliation. Granted, she did not torture them as the horror division did, but her supposed slapstick was painful and humiliating, even killing those she thought of as being deserving of her wrath. She claimed it was to bring laughter, but in its own macabre way. Alucard saw it as just as horrifying as anything in his own division, which was why it was oh so sweet that it was her who sent out a missive asking for a corroboration. See, Alucard needed a way to destroy the other gods. He couldn't simply start killing off his own division himself, nor could he attack other gods openly. He was stronger than most, but not all, and invariably, if enough deities worked together, he'd be laid low. But the same didn't hold true for mortal beings, or at least non-divine ones. Gods had no power over beings not in their own division, so Alucard needed a way into another division. Enter the Isekai Quartet Initiative. Isekai was a fad amongst the gods, of sending mortals from a world without magic or very little into a fantasy realm. It could have been a way to create powerful champions to defeat the monsters that threatened humanity, but instead it was just a sort of joke that gods played on mortals to feed off their emotions. There were several isekai worlds under Alucard's control, and he carefully selected a batch to present to Haruhi as choices for her scheme. Her plan was to send all of these beings to high schools and have them interact with one another. She planned to turn it into a farce, but Alucard had deeper intentions. He wanted to make sure Tanya went, as she had the most potential to become a mortal free of all shackles, who would stop at nothing to kill the gods and free humanity once and for all. Alongside her, Alucard also submitted to others. The first was a boy named Subaru Natsuki, who was also plagued by the gods. He was weak-willed, but perhaps one day he could find the drive to destroy the gods forever. The other was Naofumi Iwatani, a man who had suffered every indignity and who would be dead set on destroying the gods, if he could be properly guided to that conclusion. There were a few others mixed in, and Alucard sent them off to comedy, hoping that Haruhi would be so foolish as to accept his offer. To his shock, not only did she accept, but Alucard had been the only one to respond. Apparently, comedy was considered to be, well, a joke, and working with them as lowering oneself to a base level. But Haruhi was delighted to be working with Alucard, though for all the wrong reasons. This will be great. Haruhi laughed when they met together at a neutral location, a world that seemed to exist just for the purpose of deities across divisions talking with one another. It looked like a great hotel in a small world of boring cityscapes and parks, clean, manicured, and harmless. It was populated only by angels and servants, and had no mortals upon it. What a waste. Somewhere like this would have been a pleasant place for mortals to live out their lives. It made Alucard think of Integra, but he steeled himself and pressed on. "Look, there's just one problem here, though," Haruhi said, looking over the paper with the 3 chosen worlds of Alucard's. "Oh, when I found out I was going to work with Horob, I thought there would be some cool monsters, but this is all boring. The closest thing to a monster are Rem and Ram, but they just look like cute girls. I mean, that's hard, but where are the real, scary stuff? You know, something big and tough and mean. Skeletons and vampires and multi-legged freaks. That's what horror is, right? Well, I hardly thought a group of disturbing beasts would be appropriate for a school setting," Alucard said calmly, flipping through Haruhi's own suggestions. He froze suddenly, and if he had been human still, a drop of cold sweat would have run down his back. "What is this? You're including gods in this ... event. Yay, Aqua's a goof. Plus, she'd way overreact if she saw literal monsters," Haruhi cackled. "She is not the only one. Who is this Restart?" Alucard demanded coldly, tapping a finger on another world's description. "Oh, she's pretty funny too. Totally in love with Seiya. I figure I can trick her into banging him and she can spend a lifetime as a mortal. So don't worry about them," Haruhi said dismissively. "Look, either you bring some cool monsters to the table or I'm calling this off. Don't you have something interesting?" Absently, Alucard reached into his stack of secondary options and selected one at random. He glanced at it, then slid it over to Haruhi. The Overlord world was a disgusting perversion, one he hoped to cleanse one day. But Ains and his cronies did fit the descriptions of monstrous in both appearance and character. This Aquian Restart, will their memories be wiped? Alucard asked Haruhi, keeping his voice calm and professional. "Ha!" Haruhi looked up from the Overlord paper and shrugged. "I mean, if Restart manages to trip Seiya into bed, yeah. But not Aqua, unless you can arrange someone to seduce her. Believe me, I tried. I thought Kazuma would totally go for her, and she'd be into him, but instead they're heterosexual life partners or something. Peas with Megumin, can you believe it? That stupid Pedonit." Alucard did not give a good goddamn about who was sleeping with whom, but this Aqua could be a problem. He looked at her sheet more carefully, then he smiled. "Hated the undead, did she? Well, that could have some potential. She seemed rash and unintelligent. If she attacked Ains, Alucard would have his pretext for the coming war. It was a problem that she would remember these events, and working with the horror division would give her power over its inhabitants. But that would just mean she would need to be eliminated first. And if Ains or his subordinates survived, they'd likely bear her a grudge. Excellent. Tanya already hated gods. Having a fool of a goddess like this around her would be the perfect way to further mold her into the weapon Alucard needed. All right, these guys work, Haruhi declared, slapping down the Overlord paper and grinning. So, I've already got the high school world created. When can you teleport your people in? I was thinking we just send them these big red buttons and trick them into pressing them. That would be hilarious. That's fine, Alucard agreed, hiding a smile. How long do you think this will last? I dunno. Until it's not funny anymore. Or until everyone learns a valuable lesson. Hopefully your people can just relax and have some fun. I feel bad they're stuck in the horror division. You guys aren't too hard on them, right? Haruhi asked, sounding almost concerned. Alquad knew. It was a lie, a facade. No god cared about humanities, save for him. Oh, I'm sure our heroes will enjoy themselves, Alquad said, smiling politely at Haruhi and avoiding showing his fangs. I know I will. The Isekai Quartet experiment only lasted a few months, but that was all Alucard needed. He spent the time well, planning and preparing. He even checked up on Saris, and they were doing well, as Alquad had known they would without him. But their world was still vulnerable, and horrors still ran through it. For now, Alucard would find a way to free those he cared for from the bondage of gods. The only part he regretted is that it would mean he would have to die as well. Ah well, it was for the best. He was, after all, a monster. He just had to make sure that Tanya von der Gureshef didn't make the same mistake that Anderson had. She would be worthy. She would be his god slayer, and her last victim would be himself. But her first would be the very god that had plagued Alucard for so long. It was almost time for being X to die, and then Alquad's crusade would begin in earnest.
Thank you so very much for making it all the way to the end of the video. You are honestly a real one, and I cannot thank you enough. Thank you for sticking around through my absence these last couple years, and just leaving your comments of support and motivating me to come back and just keep doing this. I could not do this without you. Thank you. This channel is your channel. This channel is your channel, which is why I want y'all to let me know what you want to see next, whether you want to see more of the series that are already here or something new. If you have a creative idea that you want to see fleshed out, please let me know in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, it is Willie What If signing out. Peace.